Have you ever stopped to think about why certain people come into your life? Is it all just a coincidence? Or is there something bigger behind each meeting? Life is full of mysterious connections, some brief, others lasting a long time. Some people arrive bringing joy, inspiration, and lightness, while others show up to challenge us, test our limits, or even teach us important lessons through pain. But one thing is certain: no one crosses your path without a reason. Every relationship, whether good or bad, has an impact on your growth. Some people bring out the best in us, while others teach us how to defend ourselves, set boundaries, or move on when something no longer serves us. Whether it's a friend who appeared at the perfect moment, a love that transformed you, or even someone who hurt you deeply, everyone who passed through your life left something for you, a lesson, a warning, or a memory. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to share 13 valuable lessons we learn from those who come and go in our path. But first, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this video might change the way you see your relationships and help you understand the meaning behind every encounter in your journey. Ready? Let's go. Some people are gifts, while others are lessons. Not everyone who comes into your life will stay forever. Some arrive like a blessing, bringing affection, support, and growth. They're the friends who lift you up in tough times, the mentors who teach you something important, and the loves that make you see the world differently. These are the people who add value, leave a positive mark, and make you feel that life can be lighter and more meaningful. On the other hand, there are those who come to teach you something, and not always are these lessons easy. Sometimes we learn about betrayal, dishonesty, or disillusionment. Other times, these people test our patience, strength, and even our ability to move forward. No matter how difficult, these encounters are also necessary. They shape us, strengthen us, and show us where we still need to grow. How many times have you asked yourself, why did this happen to me? The truth is that every experience has a purpose. Even the deepest pain carries hidden lessons. Perhaps someone came into your life to teach you the value of trust, empathy, or emotional independence. Other times, a painful end shows us that not every connection is meant to last, and it's okay to accept that. This is one of the secrets to living more peacefully. The problem arises when we resist the lessons and cling to the idea that everything should have been different. We get stuck in the past, reliving situations and thinking, what if it had been different? But the truth is that nothing could have been different. Every person who crossed your life played exactly the role they needed to. Stoicism teaches us to accept reality as it is, not as we wish it were. Seneca said it's not what happens to us that matters, but how we respond to it. You can't control who comes or goes from your life, but you can choose what to do with what you've learned from each encounter. If someone hurt you, you can hold on to that hurt forever, or you can see it as a lesson. If someone abandoned you, you can mourn, or you can use that experience to strengthen your emotional independence. It all depends on how you decide to interpret the events. Pain is part of life, but prolonged suffering is a choice. Another important point is understanding that not everyone who enters your life will love you the way you expect. Sometimes we create expectations that others can't fulfill, and we get disappointed when that happens. But what if, instead of expecting something from others, we learn to value what each person can offer? Some people will be by your side for years, others for a short time, but all of them, in one way or another, have an impact on your journey. At certain times, we look back and realize that past pain helped shape who we are today. If we hadn't gone through some situations, maybe we wouldn't have learned to protect ourselves better, recognize warning signs, or become stronger. Not everything that seems bad in the moment really is. Often, it's just life preparing us for something greater. The secret lies in accepting both the good and the hard with gratitude. Those who helped you deserve your affection, and those who hurt you deserve your forgiveness. Not for them, but for you. Holding on to resentment only prolongs the pain. When you learn to see each person as part of your growth process, everything begins to make sense. So, the next time someone enters or leaves your life, ask yourself, what did this person come to teach me? If you find the answer, you'll realize that nothing was in vain. You will grow, mature, and become an even stronger version of yourself. And that, perhaps, is the greatest lesson of all. You attract those who reflect your emotional state. Have you noticed that when you're calm, the people around you seem more balanced too? And when you're going through tough times, everything around you feels chaotic and complicated? This happens because the energy we put out directly affects the people we connect with. There are those who push us forward and share the same values as us. But when our minds are filled with doubt, insecurity, and fear, we tend to gravitate toward people who reinforce those negative emotions. Without realizing it, we look for in others a reflection of what we believe about ourselves. That's why many people repeat the same patterns in relationships. If you have low self-esteem, you might end up with someone who treats you badly because, deep down, you believe you don't deserve better. If you carry grudges and distrust, you tend to attract people who reinforce those feelings, falling into a never-ending cycle. To change your relationships, you first need to change what's inside you. The key to that is self-awareness. Ask yourself, what kind of energy are you putting out? How are your thoughts and feelings? Are you fostering peace or always in conflict? The answers to these questions can help you understand why certain people enter your life. The outer world always reflects our inner state. If you want to attract better connections, you first need to improve your relationship with yourself. In Stoicism, there's an essential principle that says, we don't control what happens around us, but we control how we interpret things. Epictetus taught that our mind is like a garden. If we plant good thoughts and nurture virtue, we'll naturally attract more harmonious experiences. But if we let fear, anger, and insecurity take over, these emotions will reflect in our lives. The Stoics believed that strengthening character and finding inner peace were key to having healthier relationships and a more balanced life. If you want to attract people who add value, you first need to become a more centered and secure person. This means facing your fears, healing your wounds, and letting go of habits that harm you. This change doesn't happen overnight, but every small step toward self-awareness matters. If you want respect, you need to start by respecting yourself. If you want love, you need to first learn how to love yourself. And this change applies not just to romantic relationships. Friendships, family bonds, and even work relationships are influenced by the energy you give off. When you improve your relationship with yourself, the type of people who enter your life will change as well. You'll stop settling for less than you deserve, easily recognize toxic relationships, and build connections based on what truly matters. The biggest mistake someone can make is thinking the problem is always with others. Often, we need to look inward and understand what we're projecting onto the world. If people around you are constantly disrespecting you, have you been allowing that? If you feel like no one values you, do you truly value yourself? Before blaming others, take an honest self-assessment. Ultimately, the quality of the people who enter your life is tied to the quality of your inner self. When you change, everything around you changes too. So, if you want to attract positive energy and genuine connections, start by cultivating within yourself what you wish to find in others. The right people appear at the right time. Have you ever gone through a tough moment and suddenly someone showed up to help, offer advice, or just listen? Or perhaps you met someone who changed the way you see life just when you needed it most. This doesn't happen by chance. Life has a mysterious way of placing the right people on our path at the right time. Sometimes an unexpected friendship appears when we're feeling alone. Other times, someone we barely know gives us advice that transforms everything. There are also those encounters that open doors and bring opportunities we never imagined. Every connection has a purpose, and it's up to you to stay alert to recognize it. However, it's not always easy to understand why certain connections happen. Some come with challenges and pain, but in the end, they make us grow. How many times have you faced a disappointment, and after some time, realized that it was necessary to lead you to a better path? This happens because we don't always see the purpose of people in our lives right when they show up. It's only with time that we can piece things together and understand the lesson each experience brought. The biggest mistake someone can make is resisting the connections life brings. If you expect to only find perfect people and pleasant moments, you may end up ignoring the lessons that come with the challenges. Every person who crosses your path has something to teach you, and if you don't learn the lesson, life will keep bringing similar situations until you're ready to grow. In Stoicism, there is a fundamental idea called amor fati, which means love your fate. The Stoics believe that everything happens for a reason and that we should accept life's events, whether good or bad, as part of our learning process. Marcus Aurelius said that everything that happens to us is exactly what was meant to happen, as it is part of the natural order of things. This includes the people who cross our path. If someone entered your life, it was meant to happen. If someone walked away, it's because their presence was no longer needed for your growth. Everything fits together, as it should. Often, we get stuck in the past, trying to understand why some people left or why certain relationships didn't work out. But if we view things through the lens of Stoicism, we'll realize that holding on to what's already past is pointless. Accepting the flow of life is a sign of maturity. Each person has their time in our lives. Some stay for years, others for months, or even just a few days, and that's okay. Life always gives us what we need, even if it doesn't make sense at the moment. Sometimes someone comes into our life briefly, but leaves an everlasting impact. A teacher who inspired us, a stranger who gave us valuable advice, a friend who supported us during a tough time. None of these encounters were by chance. It's important to trust that everything happens at the right time. So instead of asking yourself, why did this person come into my life? Or, why did this person leave? Try shifting your thinking. Ask yourself, what is this person here to teach me? How can I grow from this experience? When you start viewing relationships this way, your journey becomes lighter and more meaningful. In the end, everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. The right people will show up when you're ready to welcome them. And when some leave, don't feel sorry. Just be grateful for what you shared and move forward, because at the right time, new connections will emerge. Not everyone will treat you the way you treat them. Have you ever put your best effort into someone or something, but in the end felt you didn't get half of what you gave? Often we believe that if we're kind, loyal, and honest with others, they will do the same for us. But the truth is, everyone has their own way of seeing the world. Expecting everyone to reciprocate with the same intensity can lead to disappointment. You may treat someone with respect and receive coldness in return, love wholeheartedly and not have it returned, help multiple times, and when you need it most, that person simply disappears. It hurts, but it's part of life. The biggest mistake is thinking everyone thinks and feels like we do. Every person acts based on their own experiences, their pain, and their way of being. Some don't know how to appreciate what they receive, while others simply can't show gratitude or affection the way you expect. This doesn't mean you should change who you are, but perhaps adjust your expectations. If you live waiting for everyone to act like you do, you'll be let down. Some people will give you less than you deserve, others will surprise you positively. The key is learning to do good without expecting anything in return, but also knowing when to stop insisting where there's no reciprocity. You can't control what others do, but you can choose where to invest your energy. Stoicism teaches that we should act according to our values, regardless of others' reactions. Epictetus said that the only thing we can control is our behavior, never that of others. This means you should continue being an honest, generous, and decent person, not because you expect something in return, but because that's who you are. The good you do doesn't need recognition. Do what's right because it's right, not because you want to be repaid. But that doesn't mean you should accept disrespect or ingratitude without limits. There's a big difference between being kind and letting people take advantage of you. If someone repeatedly shows that they don't value your presence, time, and efforts, it might be time to step back. You can't force anyone to see your worth, but you can choose not to keep pushing with someone who doesn't appreciate you. Sometimes the problem isn't how you treat others, but rather who you allow to stay in your life. If you always feel undervalued, maybe it's time to reassess your relationships. Are you insisting on connections that have already shown they aren't beneficial? Are you trying to change someone who doesn't want or can't change? Knowing when it's time to move on is crucial. True peace comes when you realize that your actions show who you are, but the way others respond shows who they are. You don't control how people treat you, but you control how you react to it. Choose to act with dignity, but also with emotional intelligence. In the end, life will always bring the right people your way and remove those who no longer make sense. Don't waste your energy trying to force reciprocity where it doesn't exist. Be a good person but not naive. Offer your best, but know when to stop. And remember, the way others treat you says more about them than about you. Some connections have a greater purpose. Have you ever met someone and felt like you had already seen that person before? A sense of familiarity, as if there's an unexplainable connection. Or, on the other hand, have you come across someone who, for no apparent reason, makes you feel uneasy, tense, or even challenges you emotionally? This might be a sign that your connection with this person goes beyond what it seems. Some encounters may appear random, but when we pay attention, we realize that they have an important meaning in our journey. Some people come into our lives to teach us something valuable. Others show up to break patterns we've been repeating for a long time. And there are those who come to test us, challenging our patience, our strength, and even our ability to love and forgive. These are called karmic connections. They don't come out of nowhere. They usually appear at important times, when we are ready to learn, or when we need to awaken to a new stage of life. Some of these connections come in an intense and transformative way, but they can also be difficult, painful, and full of challenges. This happens because their purpose isn't to bring comfort, but to bring growth. Karmic relationships often follow repetitive patterns. It could be a relationship that fluctuates between highs and lows, a friendship that constantly tests your patience, or even a work partnership filled with obstacles. In all of these situations, the big question is, what is this relationship trying to teach me? If you don't learn the lesson, life will keep bringing similar people and situations until you're ready to evolve. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control who enters our lives, but we can control our attitude toward those people. Marcus Aurelius said that everything that happens to us has a purpose within the natural order of things. In other words, if someone crossed your path, it's because they were meant to. Instead of resisting or fighting against it, the best we can do is observe, learn, and accept the lesson being offered. If a person brings out negative emotions in you, maybe it's time to reflect on what that reveals about your own feelings and beliefs. If a relationship feels like an endless cycle of suffering, perhaps it's time to ask yourself whether you really need to keep going in it. Often we hold on to certain relationships thinking they're part of our destiny, but not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some only appear to fulfill a role, to help you grow and move forward. Trying to keep a relationship that has already served its purpose can lead to unnecessary suffering. The secret to dealing with karmic connections is awareness and acceptance. Instead of asking, "Why is this person hurting me?" ask yourself, "What do I need to learn from this situation?" By doing this, you stop seeing yourself as a victim and take control of your own growth. The quicker you understand the lesson, the sooner you can move on without repeating the same mistakes. Some connections really change our lives for the better. Others teach us through pain, but all of them, without exception, have a purpose. Life puts each person in our path at the exact time we need them. And when that phase ends, the best you can do is be thankful, learn, and let go, because every time a connection ends, a new cycle begins, bringing new people and new lessons. Toxic people teach you what you should never accept. Not everyone who enters your life is there to add value. Some people come as true challenges, bringing manipulation, disrespect, selfishness, and negativity. These are relationships that drain you, take away your energy, and make you doubt your own worth. But as hard as it may be, even these people have a purpose: to teach you what you should never accept. Often we don't realize we're stuck in a toxic relationship until the damage has been done. It could be a friend who always belittles your achievements, a partner who tries to control you, a coworker who does everything to undermine you, or even a family member who uses emotional blackmail to manipulate you. The problem is that if you don't learn to set boundaries, this kind of relationship can turn into an endless cycle. The biggest mistake we make is believing that we can change these people. We try to justify their behaviors, come up with excuses for their actions, and convince ourselves that if we are more patient and understanding, they will change. But the truth is that no one changes unless they want to, and you have no control over that. Accepting less than you deserve is a sign that something within you needs healing. The hard truth is that it's not toxic people who stay in our lives. It's us who allow them to. Every time you tolerate disrespect, neglect, or manipulation, you're teaching others that this behavior is acceptable. So, before blaming others, ask yourself, why do I keep allowing this? Stoicism teaches that we can't control how others treat us, but we can control how we react to it. Epictetus said that true freedom comes when we learn not to be affected by the actions of others. This means that instead of getting caught up in someone's negativity, you can choose to keep your peace and act wisely. If someone is constantly disrespecting you, the Stoic response is not revenge or letting yourself be consumed by anger, but realizing that this person doesn't deserve a place in your life. Self-control and wisdom lie in knowing when to walk away, without allowing the toxicity of others to affect you. Learning to recognize and distance yourself from harmful relationships isn't an act of selfishness, but of self-respect. You don't have to justify your choice to protect yourself, and you shouldn't feel guilty for putting your mental well-being first. Relationships should be built on respect, mutual exchange, and growth. Anything less than that becomes an unnecessary burden. Often, ending a toxic relationship is hard, especially when there's a strong emotional bond. But ask yourself, what is this relationship costing me? If it's draining your peace, joy, and self-worth, the price is too high. Some people are like anchors. Instead of pushing you forward, they hold you in place or pull you down. The best way to avoid such people in the future is to strengthen yourself. The more you value yourself, the quicker you'll notice when someone isn't treating you the way you deserve. Relationships reflect what we accept and allow. When you raise your standards, those who are unwilling to respect them will naturally be pushed away. In the end, toxic people play an important role. They teach you the importance of protecting yourself, setting boundaries, and never accepting less than you deserve. Learn from this and move on. You can't change others, but you can decide who you want to keep in your life. The time each person spends in your life is unpredictable. Have you ever caught yourself thinking that certain people would always be with you, only to see them leave unexpectedly? It could be a childhood friend, a great love, or even someone in your family. The truth is, no one belongs to us, and the time each person spends with us is unknown. Some stay for years, others for months, or even days, but everyone leaves something behind. Sometimes, we cling to people as if they were permanent. We make plans, imagine a future with them, and believe they'll always be there. But life takes its own course, and often those paths separate without us being able to do anything about it. The issue isn't the separation itself, but our difficulty in accepting it. We resist, hold on to the past, and suffer trying to keep what has already slipped from our hands. Understanding that each person has a specific time in our lives doesn't mean we won't feel pain when someone leaves. Grieving a lost friendship or a love that ended is natural. What causes prolonged suffering is not the loss, but the refusal to accept that chapter is over. The pain happens at the moment of departure, but the suffering comes from our resistance to letting it go. Whether due to external reasons, life changes, or personal growth, each person moves on when the time is right. The big mistake is thinking that the end of a relationship means everything was in vain. It doesn't matter how long someone was by your side. If there were lessons, if there were memorable moments, it was worth it. Time doesn't define the importance of a connection, but rather the impact it had on your journey. Stoicism teaches us to accept the impermanence of life and not hold on to anything beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius said, "Accept whatever comes, and whatever comes is precisely within the natural order of things." This includes the people who come and go in our lives. We can't control how long they stay, but we can control how we react to their presence and departure. The Stoics remind us that we should not cling to what's already gone, but rather appreciate what we've lived and move forward with wisdom. Instead of suffering over those who left, we should be grateful for what was shared. The pain of a goodbye can be replaced by gratitude for having experienced something meaningful. This means that nothing truly important is lost. It stays with us in who we've become because of those experiences. Often someone leaving makes room for new connections, new opportunities, and new lessons. What seemed like a loss might actually be a redirection towards something greater. The secret is to trust the flow of life and accept that nothing is permanent. Those who need to stay will find a way to stay. Those who left have already given what they had to give, and all that's left for you is to absorb the lesson, move forward, and be ready for the new people life will bring. Because in the end, no one passes through your life without reason, and no one leaves without leaving a mark. Relationships are reflections of your growth. Have you noticed that the people you connect with reflect parts of yourself? Friends, partners, family, and even co-workers, all in some way, are mirrors that show aspects of your own development, insecurities, and even emotional wounds. Every relationship in your life reveals something about who you are and what stage you're at in your personal evolution. If you attract healthy relationships, it means you've developed self-esteem, emotional security, and know how to build connections based on respect and mutual exchange. But if you keep getting involved with people who devalue you, make you feel inferior, or drain your energy, maybe it's time to look inward and ask yourself, what in me is allowing this? Harmful relationships don't happen by chance. Often, they are reflections of patterns you carry without realizing it. If you grew up in an environment where love was always tied to suffering or instability, you may unconsciously seek this type of dynamic in your adult life. The issue isn't necessarily with the other person, but with what you accept and allow. If you want to change your relationships, you must first change yourself. Every person who crosses your path has a purpose. Some come to teach you how to love, others to teach you how to let go. Some show you your strength, while others reveal where you still need to grow. If a relationship is constantly bringing you pain, instead of asking why the other person behaves this way, ask yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me? The lesson is always there. You just have to be willing to see it. Stoicism teaches that we shouldn't blame others for what we feel, because our emotions are our responsibility. Epictetus said, "People are not disturbing us. Our opinions about them are what affect us." This means that how we react to relationships says more about us than about others. If someone irritates you, hurts you, or disrespects you, it's because somehow you allowed that influence. The Stoics remind us that true freedom comes when we learn to govern ourselves internally, without letting others' actions dictate our peace. This doesn't mean we should accept any kind of behavior. On the contrary, healthy relationships require clear boundaries and mutual respect. But when we understand that each person is a reflection of something within us, we start to approach challenges with more maturity. Instead of playing the victim, you take control and learn to choose better who you connect with. The hardest relationships are often the ones that help us grow the most. People who frustrate us test our patience and teach us the importance of resilience. Relationships that don't work show us the need for self-awareness and maturity. No encounter is pointless because each one reveals something about our own journey. The key to handling relationships is to stop expecting the other person to change and start looking at yourself. What can you learn from this situation? What is this relationship trying to show you about your own beliefs and behaviors? When you change, the people you attract also change. In the end, life places us in front of people who serve as mirrors. Some show us our light, others reveal our shadows, but all, without exception, have a role in our growth. The question is, are you willing to see what these mirrors reflect? People enter your life to change something in you. Have you noticed how some people cross your path and, after that meeting, nothing is the same as before? Sometimes they appear in a simple way, with a conversation that makes you see life differently. Other times they come like a storm, turning everything upside down and forcing you to step out of your comfort zone. But in one way or another, all the people who enter your life leave something in you. Some come to inspire you. They're those friends who appear at the right time, mentors who teach you something valuable, or even a stranger who says something that changes your perspective. Others come to challenge you, to test your patience, resilience, and even your willpower. These changes aren't always easy or pleasant, but they are always necessary. The truth is that no one enters your life by chance. Every person you meet, every relationship you build, plays a role in your story. Some people come to open your eyes to new possibilities, others to teach you the value of a true friend. Some will help you grow, while others will force you to learn through pain, but they all serve a purpose. The big issue is that, often, we resist these changes. When a relationship ends, we get stuck in the past, asking why things didn't happen differently. When someone hurts us, we close ourselves off to new connections, afraid of getting hurt again. But what if, instead of questioning why certain things happened, you started asking, what is this experience here to teach me? Stoicism teaches us that everything that happens has a purpose in the natural order of things. Marcus Aurelius said that the universe works in a perfect way, and everything that happens to us was exactly what was meant to occur for our growth. This means that every person who enters your life, no matter how the experience was, brought something you needed to learn. If someone helped you, it's because you needed support at that moment. If someone betrayed you, it's because you needed to learn to be more careful. If a relationship ended, it's because that cycle had already closed. Suffering arises when we fight against reality instead of accepting it. If you look back, you'll see that some of the most important things in your life came after meeting someone. Maybe it was a friend who motivated you to take a new path, or a disappointment that made you stronger. Even pain can be turned into a lesson, if you choose to see it that way. No connection is pointless. What matters is what you do with what you learned. Of course, not every change is easy. Some people will leave positive marks on you, while others will leave scars, but all have a role in your growth. Accepting this is a sign of maturity. You can't control who comes or goes in your life, but you can choose how you respond to these experiences. You can close yourself off to the world, or use every encounter as an opportunity to become a better person. Instead of holding on to grudges or regrets, learn to appreciate each connection for what it brought. Some people are here to stay, while others just pass through. Some bring love, others teach tough lessons, but all, in some way, change something in you. The question isn't whether these people should have entered your life, because they came for a reason. The real question is, What will you do with what you've learned from them? In the end, life is a constant flow of meetings and goodbyes. Don't resist change. Accept it, learn from it, and move forward, because the next person to enter your life will also have something to teach you, and it's up to you to be ready for that lesson. Forgiveness is essential for moving on. We've all been hurt by someone. It could have been betrayal, disappointment, a word said at the wrong moment, or an action that left marks. Forgiveness in those moments may seem impossible. After all, how can we just let go of something that hurt us so much? The truth is, forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's for you. When you hold on to bitterness, it's you who suffers. Resentment becomes an invisible burden, draining your energy, occupying your mind, and preventing you from moving on. The hurt doesn't eat away at the one who wronged you. It eats away at you. You might think that not forgiving means punishing the other person, but in reality, you're just carrying a load that only harms you. This doesn't mean forgiveness is easy. In many cases, it's a long and painful process, but it's a necessary step for your own peace. It's not about forgetting or pretending nothing happened. It's about letting go of the pain that experience caused and moving on, without letting it continue controlling you. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it changes your future. Often the hardest part isn't forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. We blame ourselves for mistakes, poor choices, or situations we wish we'd handled differently. But the truth is, we can't change what's already happened. What we can do is learn from it and move forward. Life is a constant learning process, and punishing yourself for something that's already passed won't help you grow. It will only trap you in the past. Stoicism teaches us that we shouldn't carry what we can't change. Epictetus said, "What's happened is already over. What matters is what you do from now on." This means holding on to resentment is a choice, and one that only prolongs the pain. If something's out of your control, don't let it keep ruling your thoughts and emotions. True power lies in accepting what was, learning from it, and moving forward with wisdom. This doesn't mean you have to keep certain people in your life. Forgiving doesn't mean tolerating. You can forgive, and at the same time, decide you don't want that kind of energy around you. Forgiveness is freedom, not an invitation for the person to hurt you again. You need to free yourself. You just have to decide you no longer want to carry that pain with you. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It doesn't change what happened, but it gives you the power to rewrite your own story, free from the weight of past pain. When you learn to forgive, your life becomes lighter, your relationships improve, your mind becomes calmer, and your heart opens up to new experiences. In the end, forgiveness doesn't mean approving what was done. It means choosing not to let it keep controlling you. And that's the greatest proof of freedom you can have. Some people enter your life to awaken you. Have you ever met someone and, after that encounter, your way of seeing life was never the same again? It could have been a friend, a mentor, a great love, or even a stranger who crossed your path for just a moment. Some people enter our lives to wake us up, to make us see what was hidden before, to open doors within us that we never thought existed. These connections are different. They carry a powerful energy, almost as if they were meant to happen. Often, these people show up exactly when we're going through a crisis, at a moment of doubt, or in the midst of a transformation. They're the ones who push us to find new answers, take us out of our comfort zone, and push us to grow. These awakening souls don't always bring comfort, but they always bring growth. Some of these connections last forever, while others are fleeting, but the impact they have is deep and unforgettable. A teacher who inspires you to follow a career, a friend who encourages you to change your life, a relationship that teaches you the true meaning of love or overcoming obstacles. These encounters mark our journey in a way nothing else can. They are what we call destined encounters. The problem is that we don't always notice these awakening souls when they appear. Often, we only see their impact after they're gone. In some cases, the change they bring can be so strong that we try to resist, holding on to what's familiar, fearing the new things that are coming. But growth only happens when we accept that not everything that comes into our lives is meant to bring comfort. Some things come to change us. Stoicism teaches us that everything happens according to the natural order of things, and every event in life has a purpose. Marcus Aurelius said, "Accept everything that comes, for each experience has been sent for your growth." This means that if someone came into your life and made a big impact, that person was there for a reason. Instead of resisting the change this encounter brought, embrace it. Stoics believed that destiny leads us where we need to go, and these awakening souls are part of that journey. These connections aren't always easy. Some come with challenges, truths we'd rather not face, and changes we weren't ready to accept. But in the end, when we look back, we realize that it was those encounters that shaped us, that helped us grow, and that turned us into who we are today. If you've had such an encounter, be thankful. If someone has sparked something inside you, a new perspective, a new passion, a new purpose, know that this wasn't by chance. And if that person is no longer in your life, it doesn't lessen the impact they had. Some souls come only to light a fire within us and then move on. The big question is, are you paying attention to these encounters? Or have you already crossed paths with an awakening soul and not realized it? Be on the lookout for people who appear in your life unexpectedly and make you see the world in a different way. The universe always sends the right people at the right time. It's up to you to be ready to receive the lesson. In the end, these awakening souls show us that we are always evolving, and no matter how life changes, there will always be new encounters, new discoveries, and new awakenings. The key is to be open to what's coming. You need to learn to let go. One of the biggest sources of human suffering is attachment. We get attached to people, situations, memories, and even old versions of ourselves. We try to hold on to what no longer makes sense, insist on keeping relationships that have lost their purpose, and relive the past, as if we could change it. But the truth is that life is always moving forward, and resisting this natural flow only brings us pain. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or disregarding what was lived. On the contrary, it means recognizing that everything has its time, and some things need to move on. It can be hard to accept that a relationship has ended, that a friendship has changed, or that a chapter has closed. But fighting against it is like trying to hold water in your hands. The more you try to grasp it, the faster it slips away. Often we're afraid to let go because we believe we won't find anything as good again. We get stuck on memories, idealizing what's already passed, thinking nothing can replace what we lost. But life never closes one door without opening another. The problem is we're so focused on what's behind us that we can't see what's ahead. The pain of saying goodbye is inevitable, but prolonged suffering is a choice. We reach the illusion that everything could have been different, when in reality, it happened exactly as it should. And what if, instead of asking, "Why did this have to end?" we asked, "What did I learn from this?" This change in perspective can transform the way we view losses and free us from the weight of the past. Marcus Aurelius said, "Accept every event in life as necessary, for everything happens as it should." This means that if something or someone left your life, it's because they no longer had a purpose on your path. Stoics believed that acceptance is the key to inner peace. We shouldn't fight against reality, but accept it and move forward with wisdom. Letting go isn't a sign of weakness, but of maturity. It means understanding that some things are, and that holding on to what no longer makes sense only delays your growth. You don't have to erase the memories or pretend nothing happened. You just need to allow life to flow without resistance. If something or someone left, trust that there's a reason for it. Maybe that person has already fulfilled their role in your journey. Maybe that lost opportunity was a detour to something even greater. What seems like an end may, in fact, be the beginning of something new. But for that to happen, you need to release what no longer belongs to you. The secret to living in peace is knowing when to fight and when to accept. Some things deserve your perseverance, but others ask you to let them go. Don't carry unnecessary burdens. Life is too short to live looking back. Learning to let go is an act of self-love. It's trusting that the future brings new opportunities, new connections, and new experiences. You just need to be ready to receive them. Your journey is unique. Not everyone can follow it. Since childhood, we're taught to value the company of others. We grow up believing that some people will always be by our side, that friendships last forever, and that certain relationships are unbreakable. But as we grow older, we realize a tough and undeniable truth. Not everyone can or should stay with you. Over time, we start to notice that paths begin to split. Friends who used to be inseparable go in different directions. Relationships that seemed endless come to an end. And even family members might drift away. This doesn't mean that what was shared was fake or unimportant. It just means that everyone has their own path, and those paths don't always stay together forever. The biggest mistake we can make is trying to hold on to people who no longer make sense in our journey. We try to keep friendships that no longer have a connection. We insist on relationships that don't bring us joy, and we blame ourselves for not being able to keep everyone around. But the truth is, some people were meant to be a part of only a chapter in your story. not the whole book. Life is a constant flow of change and growth. You aren't the same person you were years ago, and that means your energy, your beliefs, and your goals have changed as well. Some connections will grow with you, while others won't. Pain comes when we try to hold on to what should have gone a different way. Maturity is about accepting that change is a natural part of life. Stoicism teaches us that we shouldn't cling to what is out of our control. Epictetus said, "Don't try to control what isn't up to you." This includes people. You can't force anyone to stay by your side. You can't guarantee that a friendship will last forever or that a relationship will never change. What you can do is accept that everyone who enters your life has a purpose, and some of them will fulfill that purpose sooner than you'd like. Those who truly belong in your life will find a way to stay. You don't have to struggle to keep someone who genuinely wants to be with you. The most meaningful connections are the ones that happen naturally, without forcing anything. This doesn't mean you should get rid of people easily or not value your relationships. On the contrary, it means you should respect the cycles of life and allow each connection to follow its own course. When it's time to move on, do so without fear. Learning to walk alone at times is necessary. Some stages of life require solitude so that we can grow, understand ourselves better, and find our true path. And this isn't a bad thing. It's a chance to evolve. In the end, your journey is unique. Some people will be by your side for your entire life, others only for a short time, but all of them in some way will contribute to who you will become. The question is, are you ready to move on, even if not everyone can join you? Life is a series of meetings and farewells, of connections that teach us, change us, and sometimes challenge us. Every person who passed through your life had a purpose, whether it was to strengthen you, teach you a valuable lesson, or simply remind you of the importance of true connection. Some will stay, others will go their own way, and that's okay. The most important thing is recognizing that nothing happens by chance, and every meeting has meaning. So, learn to appreciate the people who are by your side. Learn to be thankful for the lessons, even when they're tough. And above all, accept that some people are only meant for a chapter of your story, not the whole book. When we understand this, we move forward with more ease, more wisdom, and more gratitude. Now, I want to know from you, which of these lessons made the most sense for your life? Comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this video resonated with you, make sure to subscribe to the channel now. It helps me keep bringing content that matters to your journey. Turn on notifications and leave a like so that more people can hear this message. Oh, and to prove you made it to the end, leave in the comments. The right people show up at the right time. That way, I'll know you stuck with me until the end. See you in the next video. Take care.